Those small details we know can make a big impact, especially when it comes to the overall appearance of your home, according to my next guest. And whether you're building a new house or updating an existing home, your windows and window treatments can make all the difference. Light or dark, drapes or shades. Today we're giving you a peek inside your options. Designer Joseph Ward is here to offer his advice. It's great to see you.
Good to be here.
So many of us consider these choices sort of icing on the cake, but you say windows are actually a really big deal.
Yeah, I think they are. I remember when we built our home like 20 years ago, one of the builders was like, oh, you can skimp on the windows. I was like, 20 years, I'm like, windows are like the eyes on your face. Yeah. And they're really important to do a good window.
Yeah. I'm going to quote one of my favorite all-time movies. Hold on, now I'm blanking on the name. I'm sorry, Goldie Hawn, Diane Keaton, First Wives Club.
Never seen it.
You need to, because there's a hilarious designer in there, and he says, the windows are the eyes to the soul of the house, or something like that, right?
I agree.
Okay, fine, whatever. Let's start with window frames. We've seen a huge push in the last years toward the black frames, the black window frames. When do you know when to do white, when to do black?
That's a great question. I mean, if your home is a little more classic and not as contemporary or modern or transitional, I would not do them. I wouldn't do black.
Don't do black. Yeah. Stick with white.
But if you want to be kind of trending and contemporary, then yeah, I would do them.
I sort of feel like as we talk about the importance of windows, I mean, I'm no expert here, but it seems like the black windows does sort of push you into a certain look or style. It kind of takes control of the aesthetic of the home, those black window frames.
It does. Yeah, it totally does.
How much more should we expect to pay for black?
I haven't seen them be much more these days, because the more popular they become, or the greater the demand, then the prices have dropped. But they used to be more expensive, but I'm not seeing that now.
Now, we've described those as a trend. Are they a fad? There's sort of a difference. Like a trend can have some longevity. A trend, depending on the style of the home, the overall style of the home, can stick with you. But a fad comes and goes. What do you think?
Yeah, no. What do you want me to say?
I want you to tell us the truth. Speak the truth.
Because I think it's kind of a little bit of a fad.
Yeah.
And we'll get into this when we get into like drapes on the inside, not drapes, but window coverage on the inside. The one thing that I think is the biggest downfall of the black is you can't see the grid in the windows during the day. And so typically people, I tell them, put in a white roller shade behind and keep it down all the time. Otherwise, you'll never see those black window grid. You know what I mean?
Right.
It just won't have the pop.
That's funny. We've actually been in kind of decision-making process for some of these features ourselves, and we did have a designer say that same thing, that all the pictures you see on Pinterest are at sunset with beautiful light pouring through the window, so the black becomes emphasized. But
or this warm glow from inside and it's nighttime. That seems great, but in the middle of the day, it's a big black hole.
It's a big black hole.
Yeah.
Not a fan?
So no, I'm not a fan of that. That's why I tell people to put some roller shades behind them.
At least put some.
And keep them down.
Have a canvas.
And some people are like, I don't want to keep it down all the time. So you have to work through that.
Yeah. And so if you're going for classic, then the black's just going to be too bold. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's talk about another outdoor window element: shutters. Yay or nay?
Yeah, again, depending on the home, but I think generally speaking, I do like them. Even on a contemporary home, you know, I think some contemporary shutter could be cool.
Yeah.
And a lot of it has to do, again, with what you're trying to do. Are you trying to add some visual interest where the home might lack it? Architectural interest as well.
Sure.
It's like, it just seems a little bland. Or you're trying to eat up wall space. So sometimes with like classic homes, we'll have fewer, not these huge windows, there'll be fewer kind of regular size windows, which means you might have a lot of wall space on the exterior. And it might be nice to add some shutters to eat that up visually.
When you say modern shutter versus traditional shutter, what are the characteristic differences?
Well, I could see like on a traditional window, it might be like a, what's the word? Like a shutter style, like coastal type shutter style. Where a modern one might be this huge barn door type shutter. That's more wood or something.
Got it, more clean.
Yeah.
If someone has shutters on their existing home, is painting them one of those freshen it up updates?
Yeah, totally do that.
Okay. Any colors you're loving? Is
it depends on the house.
The house. Is it complementary to the door though? Are we like matching our bag to our shoes kind of a thing?
Yeah, good question. No, I lean more towards the door being its own animal and it just pops.
Okay.
And then those shutters playing a role, but it's not the primary, hey, look at me.
I like how you designers talk. The door is its own animal. Let it just roar as it is. You also like the look of an awning.
I do. I've done that on a lot of homes recommendations for clients where it's just really classy looking, especially a black one. A black canvas awning is a nice, classy touch to an otherwise large built-in structure, you know, wood and timbers and all that stuff. You want something a little bit more elegant and just cost-effective too.
Let's head indoor to window
Okay.
treatment talk. I know from your work you're a big fan of drapes. Now, first define for us drapes, curtains. What's the difference?
Same.
Same.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
The way I speak, it's the same.
Okay. So when do you recommend drapes over shades?
Okay, so oftentimes, actually, I'll combine them. Isn't that interesting? But so typically, like in drapes, with the drapes, if we have the wall space and we need to soften it up, if you're like, I want a softer room. I want it to be, because I mean, walls are just a bunch of hard surfaces, so all you have are your furnishings around you and your
Right.
carpet, and it's all kind of down here.
Right.
If you want to get it up
Right.
and get on the walls around you, that's where I would do drapes.
Okay.
And I do it sometimes both, because in some cases you do want the drapes for the interior feel of it, but it may not be the right solution when you're trying to block sun.
Right.
Because like I can close on those drapes, like blackout, you can't see and stuff. So that's where you're like, I'm gonna have the drapes for one function,
Yeah.
and I'll have shades for another.
Do we want them to just hit the floor, or when do we want them to pool?
It depends on the style you're after. So
Okay.
a little bit more European look to me is when it kind of pools,
More
or a little
formal?
more classic or formal.
Okay.
Yeah, but a little bit cleaner and tighter. I'd have it, what they say, just kiss the floor.
Kiss the floor.
I
Mwah.
didn't make that one up.
I like it. And I saw even in a bathroom you put
Yeah,
floor to ceiling drapes.
yeah.
That's kind of a cool thought.
Yeah, depending, I mean, if you have no kids, of course, and you like have someone who's somewhat,
The water's going to stay contained to the tub.
I mean, someone can like
Not the case at my
control
house.
that.
Roller shades really popular. When is
Yes.
it a good time to try roller shades?
I really like roller shades. Like blinds used to be popular, and the big plantation shutters and stuff. They think they block too much light.
Yeah.
And visually, they just stop your eye. So the minute you remove those, your room feels bigger. You can see green. You can just see out. It just feels more open. So I really like the roller shades.
I was listening to a design podcast and I heard them compare them to prison bars. Like
Yeah,
the
good call.
shutters, like when you're
Yeah.
looking out your window,
Yes.
it's the best view in your house. Why would you put these lateral
Yes.
lines? And then quickly, Roman shades, are they still in?
They are still in. Again, I like those in spaces where we want to soften it, like bathrooms and kitchens, but I don't want drapes touching the floor. So in that one instance, I did it, but it oftentimes, like, I just want some fabric up top
Yeah.
to soften the bathroom or the kitchen, so it's not just all hard surfaces.
You're so talented. It's fun to look at your work and fun to get your
Thank you.
advice. Where can we see more of your designs?
Homewarddesign.com, and on Instagram, same.
Homewarddesign.com. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.